Today, the Trump administration signaled that it is looking to intensify attacks on Iran while claiming that it does not equate to an expansion of Trump's war there. Tonight, Israel launched a series of new attacks on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon, in what the New York Times is reporting, quote, to be the most intense attack since a ceasefire in late 2024 halted fighting between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. Now, before that attack, Lebanon's health ministry reported that 123 people had been killed and 683 were wounded in the recent Israeli attacks. Today, Azerbaijan accused Iran of drone attacks that struck civilian infrastructure, including an airport and a school, which Tehran has denied. The State Department closed the U.S. embassy in Kuwait as Americans in the Middle East remain stranded trying to evacuate, with airspace closed and air travel severely restricted. In the once again evolving explanation for what the goal is in Iran, Donald Trump made the case for regime change, saying that he should be involved in choosing Iran's next leader. He should be involved. Ayatollah Khamenei's second eldest son is reportedly a top contender to take over and would likely continue his father's hardline policies, according to the New York Times. Donald Trump told Axios, quote, "They're wasting their time. Khamenei's son is a lightweight. I have to be involved in the appointment, like with Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela," end quote. He added that he refuses to accept a new Iranian leader who would continue Khamenei's policies, which he said would force the U.S. back to war in 5 years. Those are his terms. Quote, "Khamenei's son is unacceptable to me. We want someone that will bring harmony and peace to Iran," Trump said. Or at least someone who will do what Donald Trump wants him to do. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said this today.
We have clear objectives with maximum authorities on the battlefield. The dumb, politically correct wars of the past were the opposite of what we're doing here. Our munitions are full up, and our will is ironclad, which means our timeline is ours and ours alone to control. Iran is hoping that we cannot sustain this, which is a really bad miscalculation for the IRGC in Iran. You see, there's no shortage of American will here.
But that's not actually what Americans want, according to polling on Trump's war that has already killed 6 U.S. service members. 56% of Americans do not approve of the U.S. military strikes in Iran. I just want you to keep in mind, think about Iraq and think about Afghanistan. These things tend to be fairly popular at the start, and then the longer they draw on, the less popular they get. This is wildly unpopular right in the beginning, and it is hard to imagine those numbers getting better for a president who campaigned on the promise of no more endless wars. The World Health Organization said today that almost 1,000 deaths have been reported in Iran, including about 170 who died in the bombing of a girls' elementary school. The U.S. says it's investigating that attack. Iran's foreign minister said today his country is not looking to negotiate a ceasefire with the United States and Israel right now, telling NBC News that if the U.S. decided to invade with ground troops, quote, "We are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them," end quote. In an interview with Time magazine, when asked whether Americans should be worried about retaliatory attacks at home, Trump acknowledges the possibility. Quote, "I guess," he says, "but I think they're worried about that all the time. We think about it all the time. We plan for it. But yeah, you know, we expect some things. Like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die," end quote. Some people will die. Today, Pete Hegseth said there's no shortage of weapons, despite reporting from the Wall Street Journal that the Pentagon is scrambling to replenish its dwindling stockpiles of missile defense interceptors. And today, Republicans in the House blocked a bipartisan war powers resolution introduced by the Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, who will join us in a moment, and the Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, that would have restricted Donald Trump's ability to continue his war in Iran without congressional approval. It's not that high a bar. If you think you're justified in having your war, just ask Congress. That's what the law says you have to do. However, a similar measure failed in the Senate yesterday. Joining us now is the Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. He's a member of the House Intelligence and Armed Services Committee and is a former U.S. Army Ranger. Congressman Crow, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
I don't know where to start. The cavalier attitude toward the loss of life, Pete Hegseth had it and Donald Trump had it. It's kind of wild to me. I understand that in wars people die, but then those wars should be considered and strategic and should be explained to the American people and justified to the American people.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's start with the cavalier attitude. I mean, because isn't that what this is all about? The fact that they don't understand the suffering. They don't understand that the Americans don't want this. They're sick and tired of financing this, of bearing the burden of endless wars, of fighting and dying in these wars. I learned a long time ago when Donald Trump and others love to talk tough and bang the war drums. It is working class folks that always have to bear the burden. That continues to this day, right? Why we took a vote today really didn't have anything, in my opinion, to do with us just wanting to be involved, us wanting to be engaged, notification requirements. What the vote today was about returning accountability back to this broken process, putting Americans back in the driver's seat in the most important decision the government can make, and that is the decision to send our sons and daughters to war and to spend our money in conflict. And Republicans walked away from that.
Congressman, I spent a lot of time studying Iran. I was there when the deal was negotiated. I kind of know a lot about the place. Pete Hegseth said we have clear objectives. I cannot determine what the clear objectives are in this war.
Yeah, because he's lying. That's why, right? The justifications for the war change by the day. The objectives change by the day. He said we're doing the opposite of dumb things, which should be smart things, right? So there you have. That's the end of the debate. We're dominating. We're meeting all objectives. Donald Trump has rated it a 15 out of a 10. So we should just all move on and not worry about it. The problem is this is costing us $2 billion a day. 6 service members already gave their lives. This is likely to get worse, much worse in the days and weeks ahead. They are doubling down on this failure, which is exactly why Congress needs to step up and Republicans need to grow a spine and actually stand up for their constituents.
Congressman, I know you've done 2 tours in Iraq and in Afghanistan. I wouldn't mind if you could help me explain what Pete Hegseth said when he said dumb politically correct wars of the past are over. Were you involved in dumb politically correct wars?
Well, I have no idea what Pete Hegseth talks about half the time. I don't spend my time inside of Pete Hegseth's head because it's not a great place for me or anybody else to be. But listen, he deployed in these wars and he took something very different out of that experience than I did. What I took out of that experience was that it's working class kids like me and the people that I grew up with that have to go and do endless patrols in Baghdad and be subjected to roadside bombs and sniper attack while oil executives and CEOs get rich off of these wars, much like is happening today, as a matter of fact. And the fact that we spent $5 to $8 trillion, 7,000 American lives, 20 years of conflict, trying to nation build and regime change, and look what happened. Right? Have we learned nothing from that experience? Apparently, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth haven't learned anything from that experience. Americans know better, though. Here's the deal. The reason why this is unpopular is because we know better. Americans don't want this, right? They literally can't afford health care. I have constituents calling me daily. They're losing their health care. They're losing their homes. People are dying of medical issues that they can't pay for. Our infrastructure is crumbling. And Donald Trump is spending $2 billion a day and counting on another endless conflict in the Middle East.